each other as often as we could. I said, no, I can't go and stay that long. So I wouldn't go. And anyway, then I decided, well, I didn't want to. I'd been up there about 2 years, and I said I didn't want to go home in the summertime. I wanted me a job up there so I could stay up there. So I got this job at the Aetna Insurance Company on 15th and K. And they didn't want to hire me, though, unless if I was going to quit at the end of the summer. They didn't want to train me. And I said, I think I can get out of that contract. I'll see if I can, and then I'll stay. So I found out from the principal and all, and I told her what the situation was. I said, I need a year-round job. The first summer I was up there, when school was out, I got a job teaching some kids from around Powhatan County that needed some more credits to get in college. And I'd taken a lot of Spanish, so I taught this doctor's son and the banker's daughter Spanish, and just so they could get in college. And so I made a little money doing that the first year. But then the next year, I said, I am not coming back home to tend to kids. So I stayed on with the insurance company until just before we got married.
Now, when you took over the store, did Uncle Frank ever help out with the store?
Not if he could help it, but...
Okay. So you took over the store, and y'all got married in 47.
Miss Delacy could stay at the store.
Huh?
She could, go to the store. She had Pitt Jones, that black guy, you know Pitt. He'd help around the store and different ones that helped. Willie Tingen. And so she could, go out there and stay and help.
Who owned the store?
She did. She'd open up every morning. She'd go out there at 7 o'clock sometimes.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
He loved the store better than I did.
Yeah, she loved it. And I hated it. And every morning, the farmers sometimes, CSB sold fertilizer too. Take an order so many tons for all of them that, really made a living with tobacco. And if they'd come at 4 o'clock, they'd like so many bags of fertilizer having enough. And I'd have to go around there to the shed, because SB said if he had to get up before 8 o'clock, he'd go back in the army. He would never get up early. So I'd go around there, and one morning, this Roy Lawson down here was getting some fertilizer. And I said, well, Roy, I've been helping lift this fertilizer. I don't know what's wrong. And it's 100-pound bags, and 50 was the smallest they had. Most of it was 100. And he said, well, Miss Gentry, this is a 200-pound bag. I said, well, no wonder, Roy. I'm not going to strain my back anymore.
What time are you getting it?
They'd come at 4 and 5 o'clock.
In the morning?
Yeah, they got up and got in the fields at 4 o'clock, a whole lot of them. I know when I stayed down, Uncle X, he'd start calling those boys at 4 o'clock. Ralph, Rupert, you better get up here and get to that field.
In daylight about 5:30.
Yeah. Daylight, see, came early.
So Grandma was opening the store at 7?
No, she didn't come to the store until about 7 or 7:30.
What time did the store start? Didn't she open the store?
Well, yeah, she opened
She opened
up.
the store at 7, and you get out the store at...
No, he came on that by. He was back there.
9 o'clock?
I'd go out there before 9 then.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was out there like I said at 8 o'clock.
So how long she opened the store?
She did it for a long time.
50s and 60s?
Well, she did it until
yeah,
till
until
she had
got
that
sick
surgery.
and wasn't able to do it really.
Till she had that surgery, and then
When was that? In the 70s?
I think so. I think she always had it open even when we were in high
Yeah,
school.
when y'all went to school, y'all could
In
get
the
in the
70s.
store, wait for the school bus, no?
I didn't know that.
Let's see, she had that, when did she have that cancer?
That I think was while I was in college. I think,
78?
one cancer.
Been about
Surgery.
75, 74.
Uh-huh.
No,
It was anywhere from 72. Was after Becky got married.
I think it was, no, I think it was before that, back,
Well, it must have been
Around
72 then, when she had to
72 or
cancel the year I
3,
graduated.
yeah, anyway. And then she didn't do too much at the store then. She'd still come out there though, she got
I remember
up.
that part. She was always out
Yeah,
there. But
yeah,
Just more of a sitting thing.
Yeah.
Just
sitting there talking to everybody that came through
Yeah.
the door.
and want to know what you're up to. Yeah. And who you kin to.
In all the years you ran the store, you only got robbed one time. Is that right?
Right.
yeah.
What happened?
He wasn't there then.
My dog.
You weren't there?
No, he'd gone to take Kathy's
My
dog
dog
to
to-
Chapel Hill, or to pick the
Pick
dog
the
up.
dog up.
Dog picked the dog up.
German
Car hit
German
the dog
Shepherd.
on Sunday.
And Groff Bibb,
Sir
the
John.
black guy, was helping then.
Who was at the
And,
cash register?
Huh?
Grandma.
Miss Della and I was supposed to have been out there too, but there wasn't much going on at that particular time, and I was supposed to have a circle meeting that night. And I said, well, there's nothing going on out here. I'm going to stir up that pound cake with a cake mix and all, and get that in the stove, and I can run back and forth and watch it. And because I got to have that meeting that night.
Uh-huh.
And Kathy had 3 dogs. You had that old black spotted dog.
Fluffo.
Fluffo, yeah.
Girl.
And we sold watches then. SB had men's and women's watches, and he had that display right up there on the counter and all. And these 2 guys came through the yard and shot. I heard something, and I said, well, golly. And they were shooting at the dogs, I think, to scare them, and then I got a glimpse of them going down through that path, that sawmill path. And I said, I bet you $1 those guys that done stole some watches at the store or something. And I went out there, and Miss Della and them had locked the door. And Groff's eyes, you could see the whites of his eyes, he was scared to death, and he didn't want to open the door. And Miss Della told him she had the key, so she came on up there and let me in. He finally got out to her who it was, because she was in the back of the store. And so I went on in, I said, what happened? And they were so frustrated and all, they couldn't tell me what. And Miss Della said, somebody that's broke in here and they done got all the money out the drawer. I think SB put about $800 in it, because he's going to be gone, for a while. And we, cashed a lot of checks and different ones from the deal. And finally different ones started coming in the store. And Thelma Wilkins came in, and Miss Della was still real flustered. And she said, well, you need to go to the doctor. I'm going to take you to the doctor. So anyway, she took her up there, and he gave her some medicine or something like that. And the doctor and I stayed there, and different ones were coming in the store and stayed
Were the
there.
guys caught?
Huh?
Were they ever caught?
Eventually.
Yeah.
Because it came back again.
But they came back again. There was a different one that came back a second time, but he had been with them. They had worked on the roads, when they had these people from these camps where they'd been punished and all, they'd work on the roads. And they had worked on the Mill Creek Road over here, and they knew where that Sawmill Road was, and it came out right in that backyard on us. And so the second time, well, they stopped them that day. And what happened? They had to have a trial or
2
something.
white guys or one?
Well, little girl brought them
Black girl?
some hacksaw blades, and they sawed out of jail.
Yeah, they put them in jail and they got out. Well, then next time,
Are these black guys?
yeah,
Yeah.
they were black.
Okay, black guys.
But what they did, we had those old barrels like we burned trash in, but not now,
Right.
back then, on the other end of the store. And they squatted down behind those barrels until they could see their way clear where there's nobody in the store but Miss Della and that black eye. And that's when they went in. And then when they caught them and they sawed out, then it wasn't but a week or so, wasn't long after that before they came back a second time.
Well, exactly. They came back they got on Monday, and they came back the following Wednesday week.
Yeah, because I happened to be going out the door, then, you knew everybody around here, black and white, and you noticed everything, and nobody came through the back of it, because Frank had dogs and Cat had it, and I saw this old guy coming around, and I said, well, I don't know that black guy. and he walked with his head sort of like this and had on an old faded red t-shirt. And I said, he came across from behind Estelle's and all. And they had gone to, well, they weren't at home, they'd gone to a car sale or something. Anyway, this was afternoon, this was after lunch. But the ABC officers then wore uniforms. And old Reggie Hearn was out there with his uniform and his guns on. And so I went on to the store to see what the guy was going to do. And I said, they said, who is it? I said, do y'all know who that guy is? And I said, I saw him coming from behind Frank's, and he was walking funny and looking all around. And I just wondered, you know, if he was up to something. And so he bought something, and he was so nervous to trying to get his money to pay for it. He, after he saw that guy with the off, he was ready to pretend to get something and then leave. But they watched him when he left. Alfred Shotwell was in there and a bunch of several others, and they followed him, and he went the same way those others did.
And got Alfred to go get the car and check over
I know,
here.
but first
and
he
they
went
got the
down, and
license
you told him to go get the car, and he went down there and got behind them when he saw they were getting in the car, loading up the car and coming out. And he got the license number. He had one number a little wrong, but enough so they could tell. And so they got him by the time they got uptown. And
So they had broken out and they were escaped convicts.
yeah, he was that back there. This guy had been with them before, but he'd stayed in the car. And the other two came. This time, this one came. He was
They had
by
broken
himself.
out of jail. I didn't think they'd caught him yet.
They stopped them up there at where you turn to go to
Uptown.
Camp Chemical Company. They got out and run, but they caught all three of them. Put them in jail, and a black girl brought them some hacksaw blades, and they sawed out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, they got him.
And they bought a car with the money they
Yeah,
stole from
bought
their
the car
daddy.
with the money, and SP was supposed to get the car.
But he never did. It
But
stayed up
they-
there and
Well,
The storage ate it up, I think.
he got killed. The sheriff got killed,
Oh, yeah, that's right, the sheriff
and
got
I
you.
never did get the car. But they were down there
Wow.
the Wednesday that they come back, waiting for them. They done traced them down, knew who they were.
Yeah,
They
they
got fingerprints and
they were
everything.
watching.
They was waiting. What they do?
So you're supposed to get the car that was impounded,
At least get part of
And
the
the
money
sheriff
back.
died?
I
the
think
trial and everything.
and the sheriff died or something?
He got
Well,
killed.
Yeah, he got killed
Sheriff
over here.
got
He
killed.
got killed behind Johnson's
They
house.
killed
over
him.
at
Got
Bud
him.
Drumright.
Wallace Tingen got shot and almost died
Wallace
too.
got hurt.
He
What
went
was
in there to get one of the Drumright boys, and he was crazy.
He was crazy, yeah.
Holy cow.
Drumright nigga was crazy.
So you never got the car just sat there
No.
and impound?
No.
Well, what they do, they would go to the bus station. Where was the little place down there they were from?
Roanoke Rapids, wasn't it?
Roanoke, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. They'd go
Roanoke
get
Rapids.
to the bus station, leave their car, get a bus to Durham, and get a car in Durham, and come over here. Most time they'd steal one, and rob, and then they go back to Durham, catch the bus back, and get there.
Oh, I didn't know.
And they were done traced them down. They knew what they were doing. The sheriff then was sitting down there at the bus station waiting for them to come back when they called in and told them they done caught them.
And they
Up
asked
here.
him somebody why they picked Person County, how they knew so much about Person County, and they said, well, they'd worked on the roads over here.
Yeah.
So they knew where that sawmill path was that
Huh.
would come up here too.
Didn't never know that.
Behind their house.
The whole time they're working, they're casing out to play. Holy
Making
cow.
future plans.
Is there,
Used to be a Trailways bus stop. didn't it?
Yeah, the Trailway bus stopped you, and we'd get free tickets to go to Lynchburg, anywhere Trailway went. Must
Wasn't-
probably-
wasn't
Robert
it
took us
related-
on bus trips, me and Vicky.
wasn't there the lady that made those dolls with the toilet
Miss
paper?
Coates.
Miss Coates.
Coates?
Coates.
And where did she live?
Apartment house.
She lived
She lived in
over
an apartment
there.
house.
She used to live over the same one that Mr.
The
Next to
one
Jim
that
Carver.
Mr. Coates, Jim Carver lived in
She
at
used to
first.
babysit, sweet lady.
Yeah, she was a good old lady. Food to cook and get it roasting what she was doing with the flowers, and she'd smoke up the kitchen. Miss Stella said, Miss Coates, you know you can't cook and sit on the front porch and plant flowers at the same time. You got to quit this. Said, you're going to burn yourself up and everybody else. And then one day she was over here. She wanted me to have some flowers. She was bad as my stepmother. Kept saying, you need to plant some flowers around here. And I said, nah, who needs flowers with tricycles and babies and all the neighbor kids running all over them? So I didn't fool with Miss Coates. One day came over here and I didn't have but one cactus in the kitchen window. And she looked at it, feeling of it, and she said, don't know what to think of you anyhow. I haven't got but one plant in the house, and that's a cactus, and over the sink, and you can't even water it. I said, oh, I don't even think about it.
That's why you have a cactus, because it's low maintenance.
And then one day she was going to plant something out there at the corner of the yard, and they had this black lady that lived down here on the Haywood Bailey Road. She'd come to the store, walk up here and all, and if she'd see me out in the yard, she'd come out there and say something. And Miss Coates out there had me trying to, since I was the younger one, to dig the hole and all of this. And I was digging it, and she went to the store to get her some snuff. And that old black woman was standing, and she was fussing with me all the time, Miss Coates was, you know, like we do. And she said, give me the hole. You don't know what you're doing anyhow. Let me dig the hole. And then the black woman said, that old lady sure does talk rough to you. I said, oh, we carry on like that all the time. She doesn't mean any harm by it. I said, she's the sweetest thing you ever saw.
What year was the robbery?
What?
What year was the robbery?
I think I was in the 6th or 7th grade because I remember Alma Woody asked me about it. 54, 60, maybe 66?
Oh, that far back. I thought it was like 70.
No.
Or
Like I said,
69.
I know I was in the 6th or 7th grade.
Yeah, y'all were kids, I know that. Good.
Huh.
So I've been 12.
No. What trip?
They moved up there.
Yeah, I know. I told him. I went up there and stayed with him.
Bob had a buddy. I don't know where he went to school with him or what it was.
Yeah, he was in school with
Yeah,
him.
with
And,
And he was selling these Marchand calculators.
Yeah, calculators, right.
He misled Bob. Got Bob moved
Right.
up there.
Right. He told me about that.
I know
How
the
great
boys-
how great it was, how much money they were gonna make.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
His wife's name was Mary. I knew her last name for a long time.
He wasn't up there though 6 months, was he?
It wasn't up there too
Wasn't very
long.
long, yeah. That's when he went to got a job at the CPA firm.
That's
became
the,
even
he
full.
was up there the same year he helped me put that tobacco cure in there. No, he didn't help me put it in. He was going back to Lynchburg and saw Joe Hall down there at Pat Woody's. He stopped down there for something and asked him how was the tobacco cure doing. And he told him it wasn't doing good at all. But I'd also found out that Joe Hall got one the year before that and did the same way. Cured his tobacco with it and told the man it wasn't right, take it. He didn't want it. But I got mine out. I didn't let him cure his tobacco with mine.
When did you start smoking cigars?
In
When he was a baby. You know, when Miss Stella said she could get that thing, he didn't have to pacify. His daddy smoked cigars and saved the cigar bands. Tampa Nugget said he'd sit out down on the back steps at the kitchen